First of all, the things that you can I want to mention a couple things you can be praying for us. First of all, our next speaking engagement is going to be in Myrtle Beach, and that's going to be September 21st. We're going to be doing that at one of the theaters there. I'm excited about that event. It's going to be a little bit different for us. But if I kind of just lay out for you, if you happen to be in a city where you think there's some kind of a strong group there that might be wanting to help us facilitate one of the speaking events in your city, we'd love to know about that. You can call us here. Phyllis is our secretary that you'd be reaching on 704-944-1559 and ask for Phyllis. She should answer that line. What we've got there, basically, we think it's a grassroots type outreach, in particular for men. Because what we do is try and get a committee in a city to be willing to help us find 100 table hosts. And we do it at a real nice event, hotel, where we could have a great morning with a free breakfast, get a free book. I'll sign the book if somebody wants to stay around. It's an easy invite, and what we try and do is get 100 table hosts, and that puts it on the grassroots level. So someone out there can invite 9 guys. It's an easy invite, I think. They can go and want to listen to the coach speak in the morning. We get you out in an hour and a half. You have a free breakfast, free book. I mean, it's a pretty easy invite, and it puts it on a grassroots level. And then that table host can follow up with any commitments that would be made at that table. We've been having, it's probably the single best thing that I've ever done speaking. We've had, I think the fact that we have great follow-up, and hopefully we would get those people that made commitments that morning additional material, if they choose to have that, and eventually get them into church. So that would be our game plan there. So anyway, Myrtle Beach, September 21st. The other thing is our Lifeway. If any of you are interested in a small group study, you can, Lifeway now has our small group study for sale. 5 of the topics are in here. You can go to any Lifeway, or you can go online at gameplanforlife.com and find out where you can get this. I think it's extremely well done. We did it with a lot of racing in it, the video intros, and a lot of football in it. So those video feeds kind of set up the discussion for that morning. I think you'll enjoy it. The other things that we're excited about, the Zondervan projects that we got going, the devotional's underway. We're having a devotional done, and it's currently being written, and we're kind of proofreading all the things that would be in that. A New Testament study Bible that has little 15 study topics in it. Is currently being done. We've seen the first part of that little study outline that's been done. We're excited about that, and then eventually we're going to be having the Game Plan for Life Bible, and they're going to be getting our first chapters on that to us pretty quick. So we got a huge project being done there with Zondervan on a lot of printed material, so we appreciate your prayers on that. I thought I'd share with you something that kind of happened to me, and I kind of do that quite often on these little updates, something that kind of hits me from that I would like to share with you. Really, my oldest grandson, Jackson, is now playing football. Okay, he's in middle school, and I talked to you about coaching him for 2 years in 8-man tackle football, but now he's moved up, and I'm working with Miller, our second grandson. So Jackson now is in middle school. And of course now you come into play, he's playing quarterback, only one quarterback can start on a team, and you see all the emotional things that go into it. Is he going to be able to start? There's other strong competition there. And you know, emotionally, I can tell you this, my heart just goes out to him. When any disappointment happens to our kids or grandkids, I think it gives us that feeling, doesn't it? I mean, it's a feeling that only a grandparent or a parent can have, the way we love our kids. I think this is the same grandson that I kind of shared with you a while back. We were playing at the beach, All of his cousins were there with him. And my wife Pat had to take me back to the airport because I had to fly out to go back to Washington. And Jackson told Pat, he said, "Hey, Grandma, I want to ride back to the airport with Coach and see him off." And I went to Jackson. I said, "Jackson, hey, stay here and play. You got your cousins here. They're having a ball. They're playing at the beach." He goes, "No, Coach, I want to go with you." We rode all the way to the airport. I get on the plane, and we're taxiing out, and Jackson stood out on that tarmac the whole time and watched me. Pat says, I tried to talk him into going back inside. She went inside a couple of times. He would not leave until I left the ground. And the bond that you develop with your kids and your grandkids, what a great feeling that is. I mean, knowing that Jackson, he wanted to be there for Coach. He wanted to be there for me. If you stop and think about that, I want to be there for him as he goes through these football, different tryouts, knowing how much it means to him, and emotionally, when he comes home, sometimes upset with that, how it affects me. Let's think about that for a minute. If that's the way we feel about our kids and grandkids, think about what God did for us, you and I, with his son Jesus. He had one son. That's the only child he had. And he was willing to send him to this earth, allowed him to go through everything that he went through on this earth. He lived a perfect life, but he allowed him to go to that cross and be sacrificed for you and I. That sacrifice, can you imagine the emotions and the feeling that God had as they went through that? And the amazing thing, he did all of that. Christ could have saved anybody else here on earth. The only person he couldn't save was himself. Because what? If he was going to be willing to have himself sacrificed for us, it's something he had to go through. When you think about that love, and then he turned right around and, of course, we know was betrayed by Judas. Let's think about that for a minute. In Matthew, the 27th chapter, it kind of lays out that little story that Judas really betrayed Christ. But what was Christ's outlook, even on that sin against him? When Judas came and he was going to be the one that would kiss Christ in the garden there, here's what Christ said to him. Friend. He referred to him as friend. Wherefore art thou come? And when you stop and think about that, Jesus really at that point, had Judas realized the sin in betraying Jesus that he had done, Christ was really saying to him, I would forgive you even for that sin. Instead, Judas, instead of coming back to Christ, he went what? He went back to the men that had given him that gold, and he asked them to take it back and forgive him. So the bottom line is, the great gift that God has given to you and I is the gift of his son Jesus. And as we think about our own kids, as I think about Jackson and the way I hurt when something disappoints him, that love that God had for us, that really surpasses any love that we could have for anyone here on earth. I share that with you today because I think it relates to my grandkids, it relates to my children, and I know that affects many of you out there. It also talks about our relationship with God and Christ and the fact that it's a gift that he gives to us, salvation. And I think the point would be this: if he can forgive Judas, he can forgive anybody here on earth of anything. It doesn't matter where you have fallen. It doesn't matter the sins you've had in your life. God can forgive us of anything. That was something that held my dad back. Later on in life, he said to me, hey, all the things I've done, God can't forgive me of that. And it's that gift of salvation. He finally realized that. So I just encourage you with that. If you're going through a struggle right now, whether it's Jackson and his football and me watching and being there for him, just think about this. God is there for you and I, no matter what the struggle. He loves us, he made us, and he gave his son to die on that cross for you and I so that we would have a way back to him and salvation is a gift. I want to thank you for joining me on GamePlanForLife.com. Eventually, on GamePlanForLife.com, we're going to be kind of doing a new magazine format. A lot of interesting articles are going to be coming up on Game Plan for Life. If you'd like a free New Testament study Bible, we'd love to send one to you. We'd do that free of charge if you go to Game Plan for Life, and if anybody out there wants the book, obviously you could go to any Christian bookstore or go to Amazon to get our book. Or you can go to GamePlanForLife.com. Thanks for joining me, and I hope everybody out there is going to have a great week.